Ready? Okay, thank you again for coming here today and watching us on Fairfield Media Center on YouTube for our weekly press conference. Today, we're going to hear from our city and county and our educators. So we have Dr. Laurie Noll here, Dr. Richard Beall, Dr. John Hagelin, and Vina Miller, the MIU nurse, and Daryn Hamiliton from the county, and we're going to also hear from Aaron, our city administrator. So we're just going to get right to it, and Dr. Laurie Noll is going to be first from our superintendent.
Thank you. Well, hello, and thank you for letting us come and talk. We have been very busy on a different type of a scale in Fairfield School District. Our students are all at home, our parents are learning how to be teachers, and our teachers are learning how to be coaches on the side. Some of the things that we see that we have some difficulty with that learning is our internet access and the kids to be able to be accessible to that internet. Right, we did a survey and we have right at 50% of our parents say that they do have the internet. However, some said that it was spotty. So about 1% of that population said that even though they do have internet, it was spotty. Now, not everyone responded that way. They said that yes, they have internet. Their devices, they're using their phones to do school learning, which is difficult. We're working on getting some devices for students. We had about 45% of our people did not even respond, which is a concern because we're then not sure if they do have internet access or not. So that is a concern on our side of it, and making sure that we're connecting with those kids. Another part that we are connecting with kids is our food service. So our lunch program, which tomorrow is National Lunch Lady Day. So if you guys need to know that, to really give a kudos to our lunch ladies. And they have been working so hard to provide lunches for kids in the community. So 600 lunches are what is being prepared right now. And they have 4 different sites that those are being delivered. People can go grab and go and get those lunches. And what they do is on Mondays and Thursdays, the lunches are provided. They do like to know a little bit ahead of time. If you have not been a part of that and would like to be a part of it, there is access on our website that you can sign up for that. You don't have to, but it just helps us to prepare the food. So 600 lunches are being prepared, and they do that for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You get all of that food at one time, and then there's directions on how to cook that on different parts of it, and they provide breakfast and lunch within that. So if you can imagine, our lunch ladies are preparing 600 times 2, breakfast and lunch, times 3 for that one grab and go time. And then on Thursday, they're doing Thursdays and Fridays. So they are very busy making sure that they're preparing all the meals for the students and getting that part out of it. We will plan on this to go through June 30th. We are waiting for more information from the USDA on our next steps for the drop and go or how we will have lunch after that part, but do know that we are working on a plan to make sure that we can still continue to have some form of a summer feeding program after our COVID-19 is up on that. One of the things that people ask is what do they need to help them? One of the things that they are looking for is donations. They would love to buy a refrigerated truck that they can then go to the different drop-and-go sites. This way they could then have the milk refrigerated and not worried about having it just in a cooler or having that temperature get too warm. So especially as the temperatures start rising and they're needing to have that food refrigerated, a refrigerated truck would be great that they could then help to deliver those things. Then on our side of it, our administrators are holding meetings with their teachers via Zoom. So we have many Zoom meetings that are happening, and staff are jumping online and having those meetings with their faculty, and they're looking at how they can do learning. Are the kids connecting? What ways can we connect with our students? And then the teachers are having different Zoom meetings or reaching out via phone for their kids to make sure that they're getting that connection. On a daily basis, the central office is sending out a daily update to parents that is on our website, And we also do a daily staff update that gives staff some different tidbits of information or suggestions or ways that they may be trying to reach with kids. So we are really keeping busy. Our meetings that we have with the Department of Ed are usually twice a week. And then we also have our superintendent meetings that are twice a week. So we have all these different Zoom meetings that we're going from one to another that help with that. So that is basically everything.
Good morning. My name is Richard Beall. I'm the head of Marshy School, co-head. And I thought I'd begin this morning by, first of all, congratulating Dr. Noll and the public schools for the great job that they've done in meeting the needs of the broader community and under really challenging circumstances, and the good partnership that we've had in working together collaboratively as issues come up. I'd also like to thank and congratulate all of our local leaders, in particular Chris Essel, because we can go all the way back to February and March when this whole thing started to unfold, and Chris came out to Marshy School and talked with all of our students from grade 3 all the way through grade 12 about precautionary measures that could be taken, primarily with hygiene and masks and washing hands and so on. So we've been collaborating with them as well from the very get-go. I thought it might be helpful for some of you that aren't so familiar with Marshy School to just get a little bit of a quick profile. We're a preschool through grade, so that's age 2 all the way through grade 12. We got about 185 students, but they're both day students, community members, and also we had 22 students who are boarding. They come from all over the world. 6 of them have already returned home, 4 to Korea and 2 to China. And probably some more will be going back soon as well, but I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. We're accredited by the Department of Public Instruction, or Department of Education rather, here in Iowa, as an independent non-public school. And when this first broke, Governor Reynolds made the announcement on a Sunday night. Those next 2 days we were closed and frantically planning, and then on Wednesday of that week we had a pickup day and all of our kids came and got their items from their lockers in their classrooms, and on Thursday of that week we started our online classes. And we got guidance from the Department of Education that non-public schools would be able to offer required classes. And so we jumped on that right away. There are less than 2% of the students in Iowa right now that are in schools where the classes are required, and ours are. Well, we did that for 2 days, Thursday, Friday, then we had spring break. It was a little bit of time to catch our breath, and since that time, the end of March, we've been having our students in daily classes. We shortened the class a little bit, like the middle and upper school, from 45 to 30 minutes with longer breaks, but they're going through basically their regular schedule of classes. Of course, we were concerned about equitable access to technology, and Dr. Noll addressed that a bit. We've got really good coverage of our kids. Very few of them live out in the country, so they're mainly in the school area within the town limits and have good internet access. We've had to troubleshoot some families, and so we've worked through on most of those. So generally, it's worked well. We surveyed our families, and the response from the students is surprisingly good. We have very good attendance in the classes. As I said, a few that we need to work on. And so we've really maintained our schedule. So what happens is that each of our teachers is on a 30-minute Zoom face-to-face interview, and all the students appear on screen that way. And they're trying to think in a way that can be interactive, to make that screen time a little bit more engaging, to personalize it in ways that we can through having offline meetings with the teacher and other things. But I think the other big thing is that this is not a natural way to learn. It's not natural for kids to all be at home, to be looking at a screen that's a foot and a half away from them for hours on end. So this is taxing, I think, everybody's social and emotional mental health. And so we've had to really think in terms of not only academic delivery, but what can we do to help nourish the social and emotional health of our students. So checking in with them each day, I think, is a really valuable thing. They don't have the same kind of isolation because at least they can see their classmates. It's not the same as physical contact we get, but it gives them a little bit more of that satisfaction of being able to see their peers. So we're working on this. In a few weeks, we're going to have a third of our high school students are taking AP exams, and that's new. That's going to all be online, shorter exam done at home. And so they'll be doing those. We're still preparing for that. We're taking really careful care of our kids that are still in the dormitory, keeping them isolated. It's kind of like one larger family unit, but so far that's going well. And so I'll just close by saying what a benefit it's been. As Dr. Noll said, we have frequent meetings with all the superintendents. We're exchanging notes and ideas and solutions to problems, and I also do that with a broader region of private school leaders. But it's a challenging time, but I feel like we've taken good initiative in dealing with this in a way that I hopefully is very productive to sustain our students' academic progress, but also help to nurture their social and emotional learning and stability. So I want to thank Mayor Boyer for the opportunity today, and if there are any other questions or anything you have about the school, and of course our contact information is online at marshyschool.org. So thank you.
Good morning. I'm Daryn Hamiliton, Jefferson County Board of Supervisor. We have some changes that are coming up for next week. The courthouse remains closed through the 14th of May, but early voting begins on May 4th here in the state of Iowa. You will be able to vote on site at the courthouse beginning on Monday. There will be phone numbers posted on the doors, both on the north side and the south side of the building, that call directly into the auditor's office. Someone will come to the door, allow you to come in. You will come into the auditor's office. You will fill out the paperwork necessary to vote there on site, and the voting booth will be in that office. Iowa, the executive order that was just passed out by the governor says that there is no restrictions that should be placed on anybody that wants to vote, and we are going to handle it this way. Some deadlines and some times that you need to keep in mind for this is that the auditor's office is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. We will be closed on Memorial Day, which is the 25th, which is hopefully after everything is reopened. They'll be open until 5 p.m. on Friday, May 22nd, because that is the deadline for mailed in or presented requests for early voting from home with an absentee ballot. They will also be open on Saturday, May 30th from 7 a.m. until 3 p.m. Absentee voting needs to be completed, or early voting needs to be completed by Monday, June 1st of 2020. And again, for requesting an absentee ballot, if you did not happen to receive one in the mail from the Secretary of State office in Des Moines, you can request one by sending a request to Jefferson County Auditor, 51 East Briggs Avenue, Suite number 2 in Fairfield, Iowa, 52556. You can find this information on the county's website, which is jeffersoncountyiowa.com, under Election News, which you'll find on the right-hand side of your screen underneath the view of the courthouse clock. If you have any questions, you can call the auditor's office at 641-472-2840, and the county will make every effort that we can to allow you to come in and vote between now and the end of the executive order on May 14th. The absentee ballots, if you have received them or not, this is what one looks like. You will be asked for, if you do not have an Iowa driver's license or a non-operator ID number, to put in for your ID number. There is a 4-digit PIN that can be found on your voter identification card, which you have received when you first registered to vote as a citizen here in Jefferson County. Any voter may request a voter identification card at any time through the auditor's office. And you will need that number to be placed on this form in this box right in this area. So if you have any questions, again, you can call the county auditor's office at 641-472-2840, and voting will be allowed beginning Monday morning at 8 a.m. at the courthouse. Thank you.
Thank you, Daryn, for that important information. I'm John Hagelin, the president of Marshy International University. I want to thank the City of Fairfield and its tremendous leadership for helping all of us through this crisis. I still think we have a ways to go to get completely through it. University is a kind of a complex organization. The steps we've taken have been numerous and some of them challenging. First and foremost, I'll list a few. Our amazing campus nurse will come up with some more health-related details. She'll be more interesting than I am. Firstly, of course, we went entirely to online teaching in March. Our classes are still in progress, which is good because that means, well, basically most of our students would have nowhere to go. They're either international students, average age of our students is 29, they're independent of their families, they don't have homes to go to, so it'd either be the Fairfield streets or the MIU campus, and fortunately things are going pretty well on campus now. We have no confirmed cases of COVID, no strongly suspected cases of COVID, and it's been a project. We've canceled, obviously, all on-campus gatherings and events. We've closed the library. We have a pickup service instead. We've closed the recreation center, much to the dismay of many of our students, but it was clearly the right thing to do. To compensate for this, we've created a virtual rec center, which has online fitness sessions, dance classes, yoga, and a lot more. We have a travel ban on any travel outside of Jefferson County for faculty, staff, or students. On-campus dining has been a significant challenge. People do still have to eat, but we've done a lot to make that safe. We've restricted access to the dining facilities strictly to our MIU students, faculty, and staff, no outside guests. We've installed a battery of sinks outside the building. We have a guard stationed there. Everybody has to scrub before coming into the building. They have, again, before entering the dining hall, hand sanitizer stations they need to use. We've opened up additional dining rooms to allow and enforce appropriate social distancing. We've staggered our lunch shifts for the same reason. We've spaced our table seating at appropriate distances. We've added professional food servers so that diners don't touch or handle serving utensils. We've added student favorites like chicken and fish and cheese sandwiches from our town suppliers to discourage students from grazing in town. We've doing food shopping for the students to help the students stay on campus. We've created a system where they can organize or order certain favorite snacks and so forth, which we then supply from Walmart and other places. We're doing business remotely, which means students and everyone else has to conduct their businesses, whether it's financial aid or the enrollment center or student life, by phone or by internet. We've transformed this year's graduation, which was to be quite a grand event this year. We're approaching the 50th anniversary of the university, to an online celebration. We've canceled all visits from out-of-town guests and families. We've communicated with all the friends of the university across the country that this is not the time to visit Fairfield, although if they're smart, they probably would rather be here than many other places, because the city is doing quite well. The financial impact of all of this on the university and how we're responding to it is interesting and challenging. We have received a variety of federal loans and grants. We've raised in the last few weeks $2 million in additional emergency operating funds. 355 of our faculty and staff are on furlough right now, or on 50% reduction of work hours. We're very thankful to the Congress for providing an enhanced unemployment compensation benefit program for this time. We're hopeful that the Iowa Work Development Office will be able to process all of these applications for people across the state. I don't know how that's doing. I'd like to see if they're caught up or nearly caught up. About next year, we are prepared with our current fortifications to operate, to reopen in the fall in a full way. We certainly will see a reduction in the number of students. We have basically already written off one entire entry, which was scheduled for April and then moved back to June and now moved back to forever, of 120 students that were coming from all over the country. But this is also kind of an interesting opportunity for the university because of our specialty in integrative medicine, which is our second largest program. People studying Ayurveda and integrative medicine, basically health promotion and disease prevention. Suddenly we have 8,000 new students who have registered online for this program. And that's jumping from 300 to 8,000. We have the only such program in the country that is accredited, and so therefore we're hoping that despite the challenges, we'll still have a very big fall class. These people have to be recruited from being distance education students, some of them to becoming degree-seeking students, but I think a number of them will do that. So anyway, again, very grateful to all of you who have led the town through this quite admirably so far. I'm not sure I'm quite ready for opening restaurants yet, but I don't want to be heretical about this. And more interesting, Vina has done some incredibly good work, I think, and has some updates that I think will be very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, President Hagelin. Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to be here and to be looking back over the last 2 months, which were so fraught with worry, and yet we have made it through. And we look forward to the next couple of months, hopefully in the same way. So the medical aspect of how MIU has dealt with this has been informed greatly by the Department of Public Health, and we want to give a big shout out to Chris Essel for her help with this. She was with us all the way, as she was with the whole town, and as Richard mentioned about Maharishi School. So we currently have most of our students, faculty, and staff with cloth face coverings. All of them have received one mask of some sort or another. So we are looking forward to some fancy spring-like parades of masks and how they look on all of, especially the men students who are going to be wearing some very colorful masks. As Dr. Hagelin said, we have implemented some unusual, for MIU, non-vegetarian options, which the students really appreciate. And we are also offering them some what we call immune system first aid kits that have vitamins and herbal supplements to help them to stay well while we're going through the rest of this time. We've been fairly strict with keeping people in Fairfield and Jefferson County, and I think that has been very helpful to us. We ask anyone who is returning from a warmer climate or anyone who has a medical appointment or who for some reason has to leave the county, excuse me, to self-isolate for 14 days on campus, and we offer them meals delivered in that facility, and we try to make sure that they are well tended in whatever ways they need so they don't have to leave their isolation. Also, out of an abundance of caution, if anyone shows any signs of illness on campus, we have quarantined them, given them a thermometer, given them gloves and a mask, and provided them with meals, and have Zoom appointments with them daily, at least once, as well as communications by email. And I think this helps to reduce the fear that people have on campus, as well as take care of them well. And fear is one of the things that's going around, as well as the symptoms of illness. We've come into the point of time now when people are getting jobs, which is fantastic. And with that, I've learned that there are also other things that take people out of town, which are pre-employment drug tests, for example. First time that came up, I thought, why is this happening? Why do we have to isolate someone for 14 days? So we've been able to accomplish drug testing on, at Jefferson County Health Center by communicating with some of these employers in a very delicate way. We don't want to jeopardize the students' jobs. But it's been working, so we're thrilled with that. We have 2 vehicles on campus that have been outfitted with plexiglass separations between the front and the back seat in case anyone on campus was really suspected of needing COVID-19 precautions, that they could be taken to Jefferson County Health Center. Their drivers have been taught how to use personal protection equipment, and there's a protocol in place for all of those things. So we feel like we're pretty well ready if we need to be. And there's also a dorm with separate rooms that have their own private bathrooms if we need to use those. Fortunately, we have not. Early on, the university sourced things that were needed to make its own hand sanitizer, since that was not anywhere to be found, and that's still being used on campus. In the kitchen, which of course is a source of concern for any contamination, there are temperature screenings done daily. As Dr. Hagelin mentioned, servers wear protective gear. The diners sit at a great distance, but mostly, especially with the great weather we're starting to have, people are taking their meals home to their own rooms or sitting outside. And then we have some fairly creative people on campus, and in the student life department, they're coming up with videos that they have found which show how social distancing works. For example, a whole set of dominoes, and then the dominoes are separated, and those dominoes don't continue to fall beyond those that are separated. Or someone showed it, I can't think of the word, where he researched how many ping pong balls would fly up off of a mousetrap if they were closely together or if they were separated. And he found that very few of them would fly up if the mousetraps were far apart. And those kinds of things, those videos are on a continuous loop in the university to remind people major issues, and we are looking forward to more of the same and glad to be in Fairfield altogether. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Kooiker. I'm the city administrator here in Fairfield. I want to get a few informational tidbits out to our general public. We are going to begin opening some of our more public buildings, particularly the Cambridge Sportsplex and the library. We are not ready to open them up full bore, but with the recommendations from the governor and those social distancing and requirements that need to happen, we are getting into the process of getting those things in place, and after those processes are approved by our council, we will our tentative date to open would be on the 12th, to where we can start opening for business for both the sports complex and for the library. The city hall is tentatively going to be opening again on the 15th of May. We are putting in some other things in place for that, for social distancing and requirements for the city office. The last thing I'd like to talk about is our city utility bills. The Utilities Board for the state had a recommendation to waive late fees and to discontinue shutoffs through the end of April. Well, tomorrow is April 1st. We are not going to be starting to shut people off effectively today or tomorrow, but if you have a late bill, you need to contact the city to work out a payment arrangement before April or May 15th so that we can start working through getting those utility bills caught up to date. If we don't hear anything back, we will have to start shutting people off, but if you do, we will certainly work with you and get things set up so that we can make it appropriate or easier for you to get caught up. I'd like to thank Mayor Boyer for allowing me to have at least have a couple minutes to talk to the citizens so that we can get some information out. With that, I will turn it back over to Mayor Boyer.
Thank you, everyone, for giving us all an update. And I'm not sure how long we're going to do this, probably in at least another couple weeks. So if you have changes over the next couple weeks, please let us know, and we'll have you come and give those changes so the community knows. I did confirm with Chris Destel this morning that we still are at 7 cases here in Jefferson County. So I think, again, everyone participating the way they have has kept our numbers down, and that's really great. Wanted to give you an update on our gown progress. Creative Edge is continuing to cut gowns for us. We do have a batch available at Public Health today where you can go pick up. I think they're bagging them in 4 gowns so they can be sewn together. We have a large order of material coming in, and we hope to pick it up either, I think, tomorrow or the first of the week, and we'll have those cut and, again, be asking you to come in and pick them up to sew them. We've known all along that we kind of hope we didn't have to use these, and it appears right now that maybe we won't have to. But I want to say the good thing is that the hospital and the medical workers have still been on this shortage of PPE, the private or personal protective equipment. And so this is our backup. And we may not use it next week. It could be the next week. But also, if it's not used right now in this case, we have it now for emergencies in the future. They will be stored, they will be sized, and they're available for our hospital and medical workers to use. And so that ultimately that's a good thing. We're prepared for the future. The last thing that I wanted to mention was, and again, this comes from the governor, there is a site called testiowa.com. They would like everybody to go there and do the assessment. You know, for people who have been healthy, that's great, but they still would like for you to go and do the assessment. And it lets them know how our county's doing. So you probably, like for myself, I haven't been sick at all through this time period. I haven't been exposed as far as I know. I haven't traveled anywhere. But it's still good for me to go on and do that assessment. You never know, down the road they might call and say, hey, come and get tested. They might find if I had antibodies that I really was exposed, but I never got sick. So all that data is helping, really helping them understand this virus and how it works and how it transmits. So if you haven't done that yet, please go on testiowa.com and get tested. Anything else additional anybody thought of before we go? And I don't think, Jason, we don't have any questions, correct, at this point?
We've had 2.
Oh, okay.
So one is Fairfield going to be involved in having a Iowa site?
Okay, is Fairfield going to be involved in having a Test Iowa site? We have not at this point heard that we would have a site down here. A couple days ago, there were sites in Des Moines and Waterloo. So that's all I know at this point. I don't anticipate that we would have one just because we've had such a low infection rate. Certainly there could be one closer than Waterloo or Des Moines, but not at this time. And I think they're really just still in the process of getting ramped up. You know, they're really trying to understand where they need to go. But
the other one was for Dr. Hagelin. Are TM meditators setting their intentions towards protecting Fairfield from COVID-19? So,
you want to just say, yeah.
Yes, briefly. Yes, very much so. One of the things that we're doing to try to keep the whole community safe is, first of all, we're discouraging people on campus, in case God knows we had an issue there from coming into town. We're taking a lot of steps to keep the students, faculty, and staff in place, having Vina and other people take care of errands as they need to be run. Also, we have essentially disinvited all the friends of the university across the country from visiting Fairfield at this time, just because it's just not a good time to travel. Let's see, in addition to that, of course, we've closed the big meditation domes, we've closed the rec center, we've closed the library, we've stopped campus gatherings. So if there were an issue in the meditating community, who of course have access to the domes when they want, they don't currently, because we just like to encourage the social distancing, and basically, since groups of greater than 10 had been essentially disallowed and have been for a while, those group sessions really are not allowed currently, and I don't see that changing in the very near future. So within the limited amount of control the university has about the greater environment, I think they're doing a good job.
Mayor Boyer, I have a question.
Yes.
If someone did the Test Iowa assessment and they were well, and then 3 months later they got COVID, could they go back onto that assessment site and redo it?
Yes. So the question is, if you do the Test Iowa now and you're well, but a month or 2 or 3 months later you feel like you have symptoms, yes, go on that site and get assessed again. So if anything changes in your health, go there again and do another assessment. And then they will contact you if they feel like they need you to be tested. So it's a very good question. And again, I want to thank all our educators. They've done an amazing job of protecting their populations. And, I know Chris particularly was involved and talking with Vina way back in December and January, I believe. And I'd say the university has done a great job of isolating their population and taking it very seriously to protect not only their own community, but the city of Fairfield too, by doing all the measures that they have done. We really, again, appreciate everybody's support, and we look forward to a new normal, but it also is going to come in a few steps, so be patient. I'm sure there'll be hand washing stations at some of these places that we're starting to open up, and we look forward to a summer where that's a little more fun, and also we're going to learn a lot about ourselves as we go forward. I'm sure there'll be some wrap-ups when we get all the way through this of things that we maybe could have done better, or things that we'll do differently in the future. And so we look forward to that conversation as well. So until next week, thank you for watching, and please remind your friends and family that this is recorded so they can watch it later, because I think we had some really good information today. Thank you.